Okay, let's just jump right into it. What if I told you that major world events weren't random at all? What if they were all part of some elaborate ceremony following a script that wasn't written by humans, but was written in the stars themselves? That's the wild idea we're exploring today, a theory connecting global politics to the cosmos in some seriously strange ways. I mean, it's a huge question, right? But according to the source material we're breaking down, the answer is a resounding yes. The idea is that the headlines you see, the political drama that unfolds day after day, it's not just random noise. It's actually a reflection, a mirror image of a grand cosmic ceremony playing out right above our heads. And this quote, this is really our launching point for this whole thing. It connects three things that seem to have absolutely nothing to do with each other: a political event down in Venezuela, the planet Venus, and this weird fixation on the numbers 11 and 12. So how on earth do all these pieces supposedly fit together? Well, let's start with the basic idea. So, first up, a ritual in the stars. Before we get into any specific countries or planets, we really have to get our heads around the core thesis. How does this theory even claim to connect what happens up in the sky with what's happening down here on the ground? All right, so the key concept here is something called the terrestrial mirror. Think of it like this. Everything happening here on Earth is just a shadow play on a wall. And to understand the shadows, you don't just stare at the wall, right? No, you have to look at what's casting them. According to this theory, the source of that light, the thing casting all these geopolitical shadows, it's in the stars. Okay, section 2, Venezuela, the earthly mirror. So if world events are just a reflection of the cosmos, where exactly is that mirror focused right now? According to this source material, the answer is Venezuela. This is supposedly ground zero, where the earthly part of this whole ceremony is taking place. And this is where the theory starts to draw some very, very specific connections. First off, the name itself. Venezuela literally means Little Venice, which is a direct link to the planet Venus. So you've got the celestial action. Venus is clothed or hidden by the sun's light. The earthly reflection? Well, the theory claims Venezuela is being occupied by a so-called solar power, meaning the United States. And the symbolism gets even more direct, almost disturbingly so. The theory points to reports of the Venezuelan leader being captured and physically covered in a gray shroud. You see, this isn't just a metaphor anymore. It's interpreted as a literal, visual mirroring of the planet Venus being shrouded by the sun. What happens up there is copied down here. And hey, remember that number from the opening quote? 11? Here's where it supposedly makes its first appearance on the world stage. The theory points to a military action, Operation Southern Spear, where exactly 11 people were reportedly taken. Now, in this worldview, that's not a coincidence. It's not a random number. It's an imperative, a deliberate signal being sent to those who know how to read these signs. So, okay, that's the earthly side of the mirror, but what is it reflecting? Section 3, the 11-star crown, takes us up into the cosmos to look at the other half of this ritual, what's being called the main event. Now, according to this theory, this isn't some vague, someday in the future prophecy. It has a very specific timeline. The critical window to watch is from July to September of 2026. The whole thing supposedly kicks off when Venus, who is symbolically cast as the woman in this drama, enters the constellation Leo. That's the opening bell for the celestial ceremony. And this is the absolute heart of the celestial ritual. As Venus sits there in Leo, the stars and planets above her form a crown. But here's the kicker. It's not a complete crown. It's made of 9 stars from the constellation Leo, plus 2 planets for a grand total of 11 points of light. An 11-star crown, not a perfect 12. This is what the theory calls the broken crown, a deliberate, cosmic symbol meant to disrupt a divine or stable pattern. And if this whole idea of an 11 breaking a 12 sounds kind of familiar, well, the theory has an answer for that too. It points directly to Brexit as a real-world example. You had one nation leaving, which symbolically broke the perfect circle of the European Union's 12-star flag. It's seen as another echo of the exact same disruptive pattern. Now, every good drama needs a villain, right? An antagonist? Section 4 introduces the bad guy of the celestial story, Mars, playing the role of the Red Dragon. And this is where a real element of conflict and danger enters the script. So who is this powerful, mythical red dragon? Well, it's the planet Mars. Yeah, the red planet itself. With its fiery color and its ancient association with the god of war, Mars is cast as the antagonist. The theory says it is literally stalking Venus through the heavens, just waiting for her moment of vulnerability during this 11-star crowning ritual. The theory also flags other numbers, like 8 and 24, as potential clues. It speculates that these could be some kind of countdown markers, pointing toward that critical 2026 window when this cosmic conflict is all supposedly set to unfold. So we've got the stage set on Earth, and we have the celestial drama playing out above. But what's the point of it all? What's the end game? Section 5, the final impact, explains the predicted conclusion of this entire ritual, and this is where things get, well, pretty real. And here is the pivot. The theory claims that after that celestial window closes in September 2026, the whole game changes. The ritual's effects are no longer just symbolic or political. They become startlingly physical. The impact stops being a metaphor and becomes literal. So what does a literal impact actually mean? The theory predicts a literal war in heaven that manifests physically on Earth, maybe even as meteor strikes, stars of heaven falling. The core idea is that the completion of this 11-star ritual acts like turning a key in a lock, removing some kind of cosmic protective shield, and thinning the very barrier between our world and whatever lies beyond it. So let's put it all together. Step 1 is on Earth. Symbolic actions in Venezuela set the stage. Step 2 is in the heavens. Venus receives its broken 11-star crown, all while being stalked by Mars. And Step 3 is the consequence. The ritual concludes, which then triggers a real, physical impact right back here on our planet. This last quote really just sums up the whole worldview, doesn't it? In this story, there's no real free will on the world stage. There are only actors reading their lines from a cosmic script. And the whole point of the play is to usher in a new age, one that begins with the violent, symbolic breaking of a crown. Which leaves us with this final, pretty unsettling question. Are we just looking at a complex, modern prophecy that weaves together mythology and astronomy? Or, as the source insists, are we seeing a blueprint for events that are already in motion? You know, whether you see patterns in the chaos or just chaos itself, it's a fascinating lens to look through. Thanks for joining me for this one.